Hello my beautiful friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having the greatest day today. I certainly am. I'm really excited to finally be able to sit down and film this story for you. As you can tell by the title of this video, I am pregnant and we are very excited. This I would consider a second miracle pregnancy, and I will kind of get to that a little bit later on. I'm gonna try to narrow down a lot of this story because there is a lot that goes into it. I do feel though that I do need to say that I am simply sharing my story. I am very aware of a lot of couples and women out there that struggle with infertility. Unfortunately, I have multiple close friends who are in that exact situation. I don't even know how they would deal with that. I can't even fathom what that feels like. So I don't want my story to be taken out of context in any way, shape, or form. I do these videos to simply share my story for either just entertainment or other people that are going through similar things. I had someone comment on one of my cancer videos that I should just be happy that I'm alive, and it's that's not, you're missing the whole point. I'm just sharing my experience so people either know what to look for or whatever, and I just feel like it was totally taken out of context for no reason. I know a lot of people are very sensitive about these type of sensitive topics, so I just want to say that I feel for you, and I don't want this to come off in a negative fashion in any way, shape, or form. I hope that makes sense. I just don't. I just feel like I kind of need to say that for whatever reason. So anyways, to the happy part. I think a lot of this is important as far as why we would consider this to be not even necessarily another miracle pregnancy, but basically all the stars aligned once again. For those of you who are new to my channel, this might help. Welcome, first off. My name is Rachel and I am a cancer survivor. I had breast cancer when I was 29 years old, and I was told that I would never be able to have kids because of the treatment that I would be receiving. I opted not to freeze my eggs before I started treatment because I was already a stage 2B, and I'd have to wait 2 months before I started anything, and for me that was just not an option. So fast forward 4.5 years later, and my doctor, after I did chemo, radiation, multiple surgeries, my doctor put me on endocrine therapy and medically put me into menopause. So my cancer is hormone driven, so they needed to basically just deplete it. So I did not get a period for over 4 years, and that's important. I will also kind of put a disclaimer in here that I'm going to be very open, honest. I don't sugarcoat things, especially talking about my period. It's a normal thing, so if you get goofy about that stuff, then this probably won't be for you. But that's just how I speak normally. So I am in a high-risk clinic for colon cancer, so every 2 years I have an endoscopy and colonoscopy. And before the procedure, they do a pregnancy test. And I always laugh because I'm I haven't gotten a period in 4 years. There's no way, whatever. But I know you have to do this, whatever. So I find out that I'm pregnant with Xavier. And it was just a world of emotions, and not in a good way necessarily, because whatever. That's a story for a different day, or I'll link the video of how we found out we were pregnant with him above. So now we have a beautiful, perfect, almost 2.5-year-old boy named Xavier, and he's amazing. Now my oncologist decided that I still needed to continue treatment. They weren't going to put me on the really aggressive stuff, but they were going to put me on tamoxifen. So after my 4th trimester with him, he gave me tamoxifen, and I was on that for about 1.5 years. Now, I should technically still be on it, but I'm not for reasons we'll understand in a minute. Now, tamoxifen does suppress my hormones, but I still get my period like a normal cycle. And it really made it very regular. Like, I mean, I would wake up on the 20th or 21st of the month. I would wake up with cramps. I would get up to go to the bathroom and my period was there. Like, I mean, clockwork. Fast forward to April of this year, and I realized it's like the 23rd, 24th, and I didn't get my period yet. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I let it go, and then I called my sister and I started freaking out, and she's like, just go take a test. Like, it's so stupid, whatever. So I bought a whole bunch of these HCG strips. Like, they're not like, they're pregnancy tests, but they're not like the normal, like clear blue that says pregnant, not pregnant, whatever they are. So I ordered those, and I took it, and I actually filmed my reaction of taking it because I'm like, there's no way. Now, the reason there would be no way that I would be pregnant is because since I was on tamoxifen, Eric and I decided two things. One, we were not going to try for another baby because I had to be on tamoxifen. Tamoxifen is toxic for a baby. If I were to get pregnant while being on it, a pregnancy would probably not be viable. So we were just not willing to take that risk. Now, because my cancer was hormone driven, I cannot be on birth control. Okay, so we use condoms every time, like every time, because it was too much of a risk to not and then wind up getting pregnant. So that's really important part of this story. So anyways, so I take the test and it comes back negative. And I wound up deleting the footage because I'm like, well, I don't need it anymore. Now, I call my oncologist, I call my gynecologist, and I explain to him what's been happening. Now, I had also been feeling really nauseous, and that like throughout the day, and then also like just severely tired. However, Xavier at that time was going through a wicked sleep regression. I mean, he was waking up like a newborn at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would have to physically rock him back to sleep before he would go to bed. So I was tired, right? So I wake up in the morning and I would have 3 cups of coffee and a shot of espresso in the first one on an empty stomach. So yeah, you're probably gonna feel nauseous after doing that, and that's kind of what I chalked all that, like how I was feeling up to. But I explained everything to them, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm really nervous because I'm on tamoxifen, like, you know, whatever. And I should have gotten it, so maybe it's too early to know yet, blah, blah, blah. So both of them advised me, stop taking your tamoxifen. We're not 100% sure, like, you're not pregnant yet, and to wait a couple more days and take another test. And that's what I did. I wound up taking 2 more tests. They all came back negative. I did talk to my OB again, and he's like, your hormones are just all wacky right now. We'll wait and see like when you get your period, and then we'll kind of play it month by month to see like what happens, and then kind of go from there. And I'm like, fair. So I wind up getting my period 2 weeks later. From that point on, it's always been all over the place. Sometimes it was really heavy, really light, early, late. It was like a 5 to 7 day swing. Like, I never really knew. Sometimes I would get cramps before it would come, and then sometimes I would get cramps like 2 days into it. Like, there was no rhyme or reason to what was happening, but I was at least getting it. Now, I had stayed off the tamoxifen because of the conversation I had with my oncologist, which I won't even go in, well, the PA to my oncologist, which I'm not even going to go into because it's just not relevant. But I'm not taking it. So when is it? Okay, so June, I passed a kidney stone. Okay. I passed it when I got to the ER. They did a CT scan. I have another one in my right kidney. Okay. And they're like, it'll just go for, you know, whatever. So fast forward to Labor Day weekend in September. Eric was off all weekend. I wasn't feeling great. I woke up in the middle of the night with severe lower back pain in my right side where that kidney stone still is. So I'm thinking I'm passing this kidney stone. Now at this time in New York, in the world, our emergency rooms have no staff because of multiple things happening. So even if I were to go to the ER, and I kind of figured it was the kidney stone, but even if it was a kidney stone and I went to the ER, I would sit there for 8 hours and they told me, like, just go home and pass it. It's just how things are right now. So I just waited it out. I started drinking a ton of water, but it didn't totally feel like the same exact pain as the kidney stone before. So I'm like, maybe it's a UTI, maybe it's a kidney infection, because I have had a couple of those before, like a decade ago. So I'm like, I don't know. But then I was feeling kind of nauseous. I was super tired that weekend. And then also I was getting really lightheaded when I would stand up. And I was also like, and I had had a conversation with Eric like a week before, and I'm like, I just feel like really hormonal lately. I don't know what's going on. Like, I've been getting upset over like really stupid stuff and like crying at commercials. Like, I am getting my period, but I don't have it. And he's like, well, when are you supposed to get it? And I'm like, actually, it should have been here based off my last period around this weekend. It would be like the 28-day cycle, but it's been such a crapshoot lately. I just don't know. So over the whole weekend, like, I just didn't feel good. And ever since my cancer diagnosis, I've become very in tune with how I feel and the changes that my body goes through. And I think it's just a natural thing after you either are diagnosed with a life-changing diagnosis like that, or even like a chronic illness. Like, you just become so much more self-aware, and not in like I freak out over everything, but I'm just like, okay, I'm understanding, you know what I mean? Like, you're just more aware of what's going on, and kind of like watch the progress. So long story short, Eric's like, just go take a pregnancy test if you have one. And I did. I had a bunch of those left. And I'm like, I don't know, blah, blah, whatever. So I go take one. Now I leave it in the counter in her bathroom. Now it's Labor Day, so it's Monday the holiday. And the girl who introduced Eric and I 13 years ago lives not too far from me and was dropping off a basket for my aunt's benefit. And she's like, hey, literally right after I take the test, she's like, hey, I'm on my way. I'm going to drop this off. I'm like, all right, I'll be outside with Xavier. She's like, all right. So of course I wind up talking to her for like 20-30 minutes outside, and I know that I'm being awkward as shit because I know that I just took this pregnancy test and it's sitting in there. And then she's like, oh, Xavier's so beautiful, you guys should have another. And I'm like, yeah, like trying to like avoid the conversation, knowing like how awkward I was being. And I know she knew something was up because we were like best friends for probably close to a decade. And I'm like, she's got to know something's up, or I'm just at least being a little goofy. And she did. And I walked back in the house, and Eric was in the house. He came out and said hi and whatever, and came back in. And I walk in the house and he goes, oh, Xavier, there's your pregnant mommy. And I'm like, what? Like, I thought he was messing with me, honestly, because that's just how he is. And he's like, yeah, it's positive. And I'm like, there's no way. And I just started laughing, and I'm like telling him, you didn't read it right. Now, mind you, Eric is very, very intelligent, okay? He would know how to read a pregnancy test, but because they are these little strips, not like an actual test, I'm like, maybe he won't, right? Like, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. And then I was just like messing with him, like, there's no way. Well, so then I walk into the bathroom, and I don't know if you can see it, but if my camera will focus. Clear as day, 2 lines. Now the second line, I don't know if it's gonna go out of focus, but that one is the one that means you're pregnant. So, actually no, I take that back. Max, positive. So no, I take it back. The lighter one right here, that's the one showing that I was pregnant. I just start Like, I burst out laughing in the bathroom because I'm like, I don't even know how. Like, how are we so careful? And obviously condoms are 100%, like, I get it, but how does whatever happen and everything lines up the way that it's supposed to and we get pregnant? Thank goodness I stopped taking that tamoxifen. And I really did it because they said I didn't really need to, which I don't totally believe, but I felt that if I didn't need to alter my hormones, like, why would I do that? So that was the whole reason why. And a shortened version. So Eric and I didn't really talk about it because now, mind you, I'm still having severe back pain. Okay. So because it's a holiday, I can't talk to anyone. Tuesday morning, first thing in the morning, my mom and I are supposed to take Xavier to the zoo. I call my doctor, my OB, and I'm like, look, this is what's happening. Oh, mind you, I put in my phone. I still have the what to expect app because it still has like updates for Xavier. I put in the date of my last period, which was August 7th, and I calculated I was 4 weeks and 2 days into my pregnancy. And I'm like, how? Like, how did I know? Like, I just felt off. But I didn't think in a million years that's really what it was, right? I just thought it was like, I don't know. So I call the doctor and they're like, listen, typically we wouldn't see you this early, but because you're having such bad back pain, like, we need to figure out what's going on. So they're like, come in. So I had to tell my mom because she was in the car with me. I like tried to get out sneakily and get gas, but I had to have her watch the baby so I could go to the appointment. So I go to the doctor, and very long story short, I saw the nurse practitioner and she goes, you know, you obviously have something going on with your kidney, whether it's a UTI, kidney infection, whatever, so you need to go see a urologist. They got me in somewhere super, super quick. I had 3 appointments with him. I'll come back to that. But she tells me, I just want you to know, I'm just going to give you the worst case scenario. Back pain in pregnancy is typically, like, where it is would be an ectopic pregnancy. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, can you elaborate, please? So then she explains that the embryo doesn't make its way down to the uterus. It gets stuck in the fallopian tube, and basically, if not taken care of, it would rupture and I would basically bleed out. I mean, that's all though. So I'm like, okay. But she's like, you know, I don't really feel that that's what it is, but I want to tell you that that's a possibility because the baby or the embryo would be so small, like, it wouldn't cause pain yet because it's not big enough. And I'm like, okay, well, I totally agree with that. However, because I was so early, they're like, we can't do a sonogram until you're 6 weeks. So now we have to wait 2 weeks, once again, like we had to do with Xavier, to figure out if this was a viable pregnancy or not. So, in all honesty, Eric and I didn't even really talk about it. We didn't want to set ourselves up for failure. And I don't know if this is how people that go through fertility issues and like multiple miscarriages, like if that's how you mentally prepare yourself and you just don't even think about it because then you don't allow yourself to get emotional or attached or whatever it is. And that's kind of what we did. We're like, we don't want to get like overly excited about it because we'll just be that much more devastated. So we just kind of let the next couple weeks go by. And then I had the sonogram with Carrie, my sonographer. I adore her. She is so good and so sweet, and she knew exactly why I was there, and we went in, and she said, literally within the first minute of the exam, she goes, baby's in your uterus. And I like instantly had just like this wave of relief off of me, and I don't know why, but I'm really anxious this pregnancy that like it's not going to like something's gonna happen. And I think it's because one of my friends who we're a little estranged at the moment, if you will, They've been going through fertility, and she's had multiple miscarriages. And literally the first week that I found out that I was pregnant, we didn't tell anyone yet. She was 10.5 weeks, which was the furthest she had ever been along. And they went in for a doctor's appointment, and there was no heartbeat. So like, I just had a whole bunch of different emotions for that. So then we were starting to like let ourselves be okay with it, but I'm still like nervous, and I don't really know why. Even to this day, I'm 18 weeks and I'm like just nervous. I don't know. But yeah, after that, we were still really trying to digest it, because again, we're like, how does this happen? Like, how does everything just line up the way that it's supposed to? And like, this is just what's supposed to happen for us, which I'm thrilled, because honestly, when I took that test in April and it came back negative, I was kind of bummed, because I really wanted Xavier to have a sibling, but we knew that that was the best choice for our family. But I'm also a very firm believer that everything happens for a reason. Even the really negative things in my life, they've brought me to where I am. I don't want to ramble about any of that, but after that, yeah, I started filming like my weeks of appointments. Oh, the urologist, everything was fine. They couldn't do a CT, they couldn't do an MRI. They did a sonogram, and they're like, we see something in there, but we don't see anything else that's like an issue. So I went back 3 different times, and after the last time, they're like, your urine looks great, like everything's cleared up. The OB prescribed me ampicillin to help with whatever infection that I was dealing with, and that obviously worked, and then it was fine after that. So and every time I've gone in after that, they always test my urine, and everything's been fine. They always say it looks really great, I look hydrated. So the first trimester was really bad. Like, it was really bad with Xavier, but this time they actually diagnosed me with the hyperemesis gravidum, whatever it's called. I had to get multiple infusions because I was dehydrated. I couldn't keep water down. I would throw up 10 times a day. Like, I would literally be dry heaving before my feet were even on the floor from getting up in the morning. There was no filming anything. I'm not exaggerating when I say I did not get off the couch for 2 months. I don't know how I did it with Xavier. I know I wasn't as sick with Xavier, but now having a 2-year-old who's home with me full time, it was a lot. And he's such a sweet boy. Like, he just cuddles with me, and like, he'll just watch movies and play dinosaurs with me all day. Like, he's so sweet. But I felt awful as a mother, because I like to entertain him and do things and take him to the park and the zoo, and I was like, it was a struggle to like bathe him and like do day-to-day things. And not that he'll remember or care, but it was, I think as a mother, we kind of put that pressure on ourselves. So yeah, I mean, it was really bad. I literally lived off of plain bagels toasted with butter, diet ginger ale, which I hate ginger ale, Preggy Pops, which I will put a picture of those on the screen and then link them down below. They're like this little tart candy, and they're a literal lifesaver. Like, and then ginger chews too, which I did try in the very early part. I did have insomnia a little bit, and what else? Oh, my digestive tract like totally halted. Like, I'm talking dead halt. Here's another TMI. I was so constipated, I actually realized I didn't go to the bathroom for like a week. So I called my OB, and I'm like, listen, and I had been calling them like at least once a week, because I was just so sick, and I needed to make sure that I was like doing the things that I was supposed to. And they gave me something, but it was like, oh my God, it was so bad. It was awful. My doctor also prescribed Zofran for the nausea, because the Bunjesta that I took last time with Xavier just did nothing. It just didn't work. And I had taken Zofran before during chemo and know that it works really well. And then the day after he prescribed that to me, Eric saw on Facebook or something, like some random ad popped up, like, you know how creepy our phones are, and like showing us things that we're like just talking about. it popped up that it causes birth defects and like all these issues. And I'm like, well, I can't take that. Like, but then it came to a point I was so sick that they're like, you have to get back to like the baseline because you're going to wind up doing more damage than not. So I had it in 2 IVs with fluids and so what I'm looking for, like some, not nutrients. If I remember the word, I'll post it up here. I'm like totally drawing a blank. Electrolytes. So they put it in, and then after that I would feel better, and then it was just really rough. I wanted like really fatty, like Five Guys burgers and French fries, and like just, I'm typically a very healthy eater. And I like did not pay attention to anything that I was consuming. It was whatever I could keep down at that moment. And even half the time I didn't keep it down anyways. I did wind up losing 6 pounds, which I was actually surprised it wasn't more. With Xavier, I lost 15, but I was also the heaviest I had ever weighed with him. So I think that's why. Sleeping became really hard, like pretty early. My pregnancy pillow, which I will post a picture up here too, and I'll link it down below, I had with Xavier, and it is also a lifesaver, like worth every penny. But yeah, it was just really, really, really rough. And now I'm week 18. I threw up once during week 17 and then once during week 16. But like week 14, 15 was really when I started to feel somewhat normal again. Now I'm waking up feeling hungover, which is unfortunate because I can't have my wine or champagne or a nice margarita. But I feel totally normal, like totally, totally normal. So I promise I will be around more. I'm super excited that I finally got a chance to share this really exciting news with you in this dumpster fire of a spare bedroom, which will become the nursery. One of my subscribers had mentioned when I redid this room, I painted one wall pink, and they're like, oh, time for a girl. Well, also, I guess I'll let that out now. We are having a girl. We are very excited. I knew I was having a girl all along, which I never gamble because I'm never right about anything, but I was so sick and my face broke out. You can even see I'm like breaking out now. I never ever break out. Like during my period, I would get like the random like little pimple. It was bad. Like I looked special. It's not good. The whole stealing beauty is a real thing for some people when they have girls, and I feel like I'm fitting that part. But yeah, we're really excited, like really excited, and I feel like I'm leaving so much out. But I probably could have talked about this for 2 hours because there was just so much that was going on, but that's the gist of it. And we're so excited. Xavier will, if I ask him where the baby is, he will point to my stomach, but he will also point to every other person's stomach too if you ask where the baby is. So I try to warn everyone not to take offense to it. He just doesn't know yet. But yeah, we're really excited. I also, my stomach, I'll show you, I am showing so much faster than last time. Oh my goodness. Eric's like, baby, you still have more than halfway to go. And I'm like, I was not even, when I was 20 weeks with Xavier, and I'll post a picture of it up here, it looked like I had a large dinner. Like I just looked really full. Now I'm, like I said, oh God, 18 weeks. Also my sciatic nerve on my left side has been so bad. And I get a pinch in my shoulder on my left side too. It's been horrendous, but oh God. I'll try to stand up a little bit. Here's the bump. 18 weeks. I don't know if you can see it better, but I was talking too long. My video just cut out, but so yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait to share all things baby with you guys. I already, once we found out it was a girl, I already started buying things. I already know the color that I want her room to be. We are struggling so hard with picking out a name. Oh my God. Xavier we knew literally within the first 2 weeks, and he was just like, Xavier, and I'm like, yep. We went a little bit back and forth on his middle name, but I literally have a list in my phone of at least 40 girls' names, and we have no idea what we're gonna name baby girls. So hopefully it will come to us at some point. I know we have a lot of time to figure that out, but it's stressful. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am really excited that I finally got to sit down and share this story with you. Yeah, I am very excited. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel. And if you haven't already joined my YouTube family, please subscribe. I would love to have you for this crazy new adventure we are about to embark on. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.